Hello there, and welcome. My name is Owen Thorne, and I'm so happy you've chosen to join me for a gentle journey to a peaceful realm of starlit seas and enchanted melodies. In this quiet moment, let your eyes rest and your breath soften. Listen to the hush that settles around you, comforting and calm. Imagine yourself surrounded by the gentle glow of moonlight as you float upon a tranquil ocean. Tonight's tale will carry you far from worries and cares, into a world where a mermaid sings a lullaby beneath the soft silver moon. For now, all that matters is your own comfort. As you breathe in, feel your lungs fill with ease. As you breathe out, let any lingering tension drift away, like tiny grains of sand washed back into the tide. You are safe here, and so very welcome. Go ahead, settle in. Adjust your position until your arms and legs feel loose, your shoulders dropping with each breath. Perhaps you feel the soothing warmth of a blanket over you, or the comforting coziness of your favorite resting place. Close your eyes if you like, or simply let your gaze fade into a pleasant blur. The world around you is soft, and the gentle darkness holds no demands, just a promise of rest. Soon, you will drift into the story of a shimmering sea where moonbeams dance upon the water, and a certain melody resonates in the still air. Let your breathing guide you there, steady and slow. Now, gently, we will begin our tale. Long ago, near the shores of a quiet cove, there lived a humble fisherfolk community. Their village was small, made of weather-worn cottages clustered in a half-circle around the sloping beach. A stout wooden pier extended across calm waters, stretching toward the horizon like a patient finger pointing to wonders unknown. Fishing boats bobbed gently, their sails furled in the moonlight, while lanterns along the docks flickered in the cool breeze. Every stone and timber carried the history of hard-working hands and loving hearts, etched into the village's simple architecture. By day, the place bustled with friendly chatter and chores, nets cast far into the gentle waves. By night, the hush fell, and the moon would bathe the shoreline in a luminous glow that seemed to dissolve every edge into silver haze. At the far edge of this village sat a quaint cottage, known for the tiny shell wind chimes hanging from its eaves. In the moonlight, those shells glimmered with mother-of-pearl radiance. The occupant of that cottage, a thoughtful dreamer named Marinelle, would often sit on a low stool near her open door, letting the sea breeze caress her face while she listened to the hush of the waves. She had a quiet nature, given to moments of reflection beneath the star-laden sky. At times, she would slip off her shoes and walk along the shoreline, where a path of shimmering moonlight would form a soft, pale carpet across the water. It always entranced her, that silver path leading seemingly to the edge of the world. Though life by the sea held its share of challenges, the village found solace in the ocean's rhythms. At dawn, the water greeted them with a glassy surface, and if you listened closely, you'd hear gulls calling overhead and the gentle sigh of the tide. By dusk, golden-pink hues lit the horizon, and the smell of salt and seaweed carried along the breeze. Still, the village's truest magic came after nightfall. The moonlight wove itself into the waves, turning them into a rippling mirror of starlight. It was in that secret, luminous time that a hidden presence revealed itself to only the most patient watchers. One evening, as the full moon climbed into the sky, Marinelle wandered down to the water's edge for her nightly stroll. The tide was out, leaving a broad swath of sand that felt cool under her bare feet. Small shells lay scattered like nature's jewels, and sea foam lapped quietly at the shore. She paused often, letting the breeze play with her hair, feeling the hush of her own heartbeat sync with the rhythm of the waves. The gentle hush seemed to call her name, or maybe it was just the wind. Still, something felt different about the night. That was when, a short distance from where she stood, Marinelle noticed the faint silhouette of someone sitting on a smooth, wave-washed rock. At first, she thought it was merely a trick of moonlight, yet the figure was clearly there, softly outlined against the glittering sea. Unsure whether she should call out or remain silent, Marinelle drifted closer with quiet steps. The figure's hair gleamed silvery in the moonlight, and even from a distance, Marinelle glimpsed an ethereal grace in the stranger's posture, something fluid and unearthly. As she neared, Marinelle realized that the figure's lower body disappeared into the water, not like a person simply standing waist-deep, but blended seamlessly, as though part of the sea itself. When the figure turned slightly, Marinelle glimpsed delicate scales along a tail that shimmered in pearly blues. She gasped, a gentle intake of breath rather than a startled cry. In an instant, she recognized the being from old lullabies and whispered fables shared among fisherfolk. A mermaid, perched upon a rock beneath the moon's watchful eye. Her heart fluttered in her chest, caught between curiosity and reverence. She took one more step, and the mermaid turned. Their eyes met, the mermaid's gaze reflecting the soft glow of the night. A hush fell upon the shore, as though every ripple of water, every drifting breeze, held its breath in wonder. For a moment, they simply looked at one another. In the moon's silver aura, an unspoken understanding seemed to pass between them. Recognition of two souls drawn to the sea's mysterious call. Rather than panic or vanish into the waves, the mermaid smiled, a small, gentle curve of her lips that radiated kindness. Her hair was long, clinging like ribbons of moonlit seaweed around her shoulders, and every movement of her tail made the water ripple with a quiet, musical sound. Softly, she lifted one webbed hand and beckoned Marinelle closer. Transfixed, Marinelle obeyed, wading forward until the water lapped around her ankles, then her calves. She stood close enough to see the minute sparkle of the mermaid's scales, each reflecting moonbeams like tiny mirrors. Silence stretched between them before the mermaid spoke, her voice hushed like a distant echo in a seashell. She introduced herself as Amaris. Marinelle, her voice almost trembling with awe, introduced herself in turn. The mermaid's lips curved again, and she told Marinelle she had been watching the village for quite some time, drifting close on nights of full moon to listen to the lullabies the fisherfolk sang for their children. She adored the gentle warmth of their melodies and the crackling of hearth fires that she could glimpse through cottage windows. Enchanted, Marinelle asked why Amaris remained hidden. The mermaid explained that her kind rarely ventured so close to human settlements, fearing misunderstandings or capture. Yet curiosity had drawn her to these shores time and time again. Something about the village's songs and quiet unity called to her heart. Marinelle nodded, understanding how certain sounds or scents could beckon one's spirit, just like the hush of the sea called her each evening. With that admission, Amaris began to sing, a soft, lilting melody that rose like a breeze over calm waters. The notes carried a sense of ancient wisdom and quiet longing. They seemed to vibrate in the very air, as if the waves themselves were harmonizing with her voice. All at once, Marinelle felt her own worries, small frustrations, daily cares, gently ease. A weight she hadn't fully realized she carried began to lift from her shoulders, replaced by a warm calm that pressed close like a comforting embrace. Night after night, whenever the moon shone full and gentle, Marinelle ventured to the shore in hopes of meeting Amaris again. Sometimes the tides aligned just right, and there she would find the mermaid perched upon the same rock. They never spoke of anything urgent or troubling. Their conversations meandered like tide pools, reflecting simple wonders. The glimmer of distant stars, the swirl of phosphorescent algae in the shallows, or the airy hush of gulls gliding overhead. And always, their visits ended with Amaris singing her lullaby, each note a soft ripple in the moonlit air. Marinelle, in turn, taught the mermaid some of the old fisherfolk tunes that comforted children to sleep, and Amaris glowed with curiosity, listening intently and adding her own magical harmonies. Over time, Marinelle and Amaris found deeper purpose in their midnight exchanges. Marinelle recounted how the villagers longed for better fortune in their nets, how storms sometimes raged in from the open sea and battered their fragile boats, and how fear of unknown dangers kept some from venturing too far. Amaris listened with quiet compassion and shared stories from her own realm below the waves. She spoke of coral forests that bloomed in brilliant colours, of ancient shipwrecks swaying in silent watery graves, and of her mermaid kin who whispered songs to guide wayward dolphins home. Still, there was no rush, no hurried pace in their friendship. Words were woven like gentle threads, each conversation a soothing tapestry of connection. The sea itself seemed to approve, washing the shore with a melodic hush, as if encouraging the two to continue their moonlit gatherings. Meanwhile, Marinelle's spirit grew calmer, her dreams deeper and more restful. She carried the memory of Amaris's voice within her, a soft refrain that eased her mind whenever daily worries threatened to rise. Sometimes, village children claimed to see a flicker of silvery tail out near the cove, but few believed them. Others might catch the distant echo of the mermaid's lullaby drifting on the wind. But they dismissed it as a trick of the waves. Marinelle kept her secret, sensing that some mysteries were best preserved in quiet corners of the heart. Under moonlit skies, she and Amaris created a gentle bond that surpassed need for explanation or proof. As the seasons passed, the nights grew warmer, and the sea surface shone more brilliantly under the moon. One particular evening, the air felt especially still, the tide slack and silent. The sky was a vast dome of silver-flecked darkness, moonlight casting an otherworldly sheen across the water. That night, Marinelle walked along the shore, her footprints leaving faint impressions in the soft, damp sand. She found Amaris near the usual rock, but the mermaid's posture appeared different, more thoughtful, as though carrying a gentle secret. Marinelle approached, and they greeted each other, voices hushed by the weight of moonlight on the sea. Amaris asked if Marinelle would like to see a hidden place where moonlight entered the ocean at a sacred spot. Intrigued and trusting her friend, Marinelle nodded. Amaris invited her to wade out a little deeper, where the water lapped at her waist. Heart fluttering, Marinelle did so, never looking away from the mermaid's kind, sea-green eyes. Then, with a soft glow from her scales, Amaris guided Marinelle beneath the gentle surface. It wasn't a plunge into cold darkness, but rather a slow, dreamy immersion. The water felt almost velvety, warmed by some unseen current that shimmered faintly. Marinelle discovered that, in the presence of the mermaid's magic, she could hold her breath effortlessly and see clearly. Down they went, gliding past driftwood logs and curtains of seaweed that swayed in the mild current. Tiny fish flickered around them, like bits of animated starlight. At one point, they passed an ancient anchor, half buried in the sand, a relic from a time long forgotten. The deeper they went, the more surreal the ocean became, filled with pulses of light from phosphorescent creatures and gentle streams of silver from the moonlit surface above. Finally, they arrived at a hidden undersea cove. Here, the floor was lined with smooth pebbles. Rays of moonlight filtered through cracks in the rocky ceiling, shimmered in beams that danced and undulated like living ribbons. In the center of this magical space lay a pool of swirling luminescence, where, somehow, the moon's glow concentrated in ripples of pearly light. It was as though the moon had poured itself into the sea, creating a secret reservoir of lunar essence. The scene was breathtaking, a hush of liquid silver gently pulsating in the darkness. Amaris led Marinelle toward the luminescent pool. Within its soft glow, Marinelle felt her heart calm even more deeply, a sensation of serenity that reached into every corner of her being. She realized this place was an ancient sanctuary the merfolk treasured, a place where the moon's energy touched the ocean, said to carry blessings of renewal and gentle dreams. Amaris explained that in ages past, her ancestors gathered at this spot to sing lullabies that brought peace to troubled hearts. She believed sharing this sacred space with Marinelle could offer a sense of well-being not only for her, but for the entire village above. For the peace in one heart could ripple outward, like circles expanding on the surface of a tranquil lake. Then, quietly, almost as if the walls of the cove itself were listening, Amaris began to sing. The melody was softer than a whisper, yet it filled the water with resonance. Each note felt like a gentle wave of comfort that wrapped around Marinelle. It carried no sadness, only tender hope and hushed reassurance. Marinelle closed her eyes, letting her mind drift in that soothing current of sound, feeling her pulse slow to a languid beat. Time ceased to matter, overshadowed by the lullaby's graceful presence. When the song ended, the silence rang as beautifully as the final note. Amaris gently guided Marinelle back through the shimmering waters, upward, until they broke the surface near the moonlit shore. The air felt cool and refreshing on Marinelle's face. Stars stretched out endlessly above them, and the cottages of the village stood in hushed silhouette along the beach. Marinelle, heart aglow with renewed calm, gazed at Amaris with deep gratitude. The mermaid offered a serene smile and asked Marinelle to share the memory of that sacred cove with others, but only in spirit. Amaris believed that if Marinelle brought a bit of that tranquil feeling into her daily life, through kindness, gentle words, and quiet compassion, then the mermaid's gift could spread through the village without revealing the cove's secret. In that way, the lullaby would live on in every loving act performed under the same soft moonlight. From that night onward, Marinelle felt a quiet transformation. In her work, her interactions, even her solitary walks, she carried a calm center, as though something precious in her heart glowed with subdued radiance. When children fussed at night, or fishermen fretted over empty nets, Marinelle would hum the lullabies she learned with Amaris. Invariably, calm and warmth would settle over whomever listened. Though no one knew the lullaby's origin, they sensed a gentle power in those notes. Over time, that hush of comfort seemed to permeate the village, weaving itself into the fabric of daily life. Neighbors helped each other with tasks, gave words of encouragement, and found reasons to smile during the simplest moments. Occasionally, Marinelle would sense a flicker of silver upon the waves at dusk, and her heart would lift in silent greeting. She never approached the mermaid with questions or demands, understanding that their bond was both delicate and profound. Instead, she nurtured the lullaby's essence each day, trusting that whenever the moon rose high and soft, her friend might be near, listening. On rare nights, Marinelle would wake to the faint sound of singing in the distance, just enough to lull her back into peaceful dreams. In this manner, the mermaid's lullaby became a living presence in the village. No grand proclamations were made, no dramatic sightings followed. Yet the people slept more soundly, their hearts at ease. The sea, though occasionally tempestuous, seemed to greet them each day with a welcoming hush. Children found wonder in the smallest details: a bright shell, a playful fish, a hidden tide pool filled with starfish, and their joy was infectious. Lanterns glowed more warmly in the windows at night, reflecting not just flame, but a collective spirit of gentle contentment. Seasons turned once more, bringing a harvest moon that bathed the coastline in a mysterious glow. Late one evening, as thick clouds began to roll in, Marinelle felt the urge to walk by the shore. She sensed a shift in the atmosphere, like an unspoken farewell or a quiet promise. Sure enough, Amaris appeared in the shallows, her eyes filled with friendly light. They spoke of the changing tides, the upcoming winter storms, and how the merfolk might travel deeper into warmer currents. Amaris reminded Marinelle that even if she did not return for a while, the lullaby remained alive, resting in Marinelle's heart and in the hearts of all who heard it. A comforting presence, as constant and gentle as the moonlight itself. That night, standing together where the sea's edge kissed the shore, they sang a final lullaby in unison, a soft harmony that drifted over the quiet village. It resonated under the glimmering stars, weaving through the night air like a ribbon of moonlit silk. Then, with a tender smile, Amaris slipped beneath the waves, her tail flashing once before melting into the dark water. Marinelle stood there, calm tears glistening at the corners of her eyes, filled with gratitude and a sense of renewed wonder. Life continued for the village folk. They rose with the sun, casting nets and gathering the day's catch. They mended sails and roped boats to the pier. They shared the bounty of the sea with each other, raising children and telling stories around the evening hearth. All the while, a certain gentleness infused the daily bustle, a calm acceptance of life's ebbs and flows. Whenever difficulties arose, a sickness, a lost net, people worked together, buoyed by a quiet faith that things would be all right. The soft lullaby lingered, never forced or demanded, but heard in the hush of waves and the tenderness of neighbourly care. When storms did come, howling in the night, the fisherfolk gathered in their cottages around warm fires, comforting children with the old songs that once lulled them in their own youth. In that music echoed the mermaid's voice, reminding them that beneath the roar of wind and water lay a place of stillness. There, no gale could reach, and solace could always be found. And so it was that the lullaby became as much a part of the village as the salt in the air and the sunrise on the horizon. Marinelle carried on her humble life, quietly weaving the lessons of the sacred cove into her days. Though time passed and faces changed, the essence of that moonlit moment never left her. Sometimes she would close her eyes and remember the silken ripple of water, the shimmering beams of light in the hidden cave, and the mermaid's voice echoing through the ocean's hush. Then she would open her eyes, smile softly, and continue forward, comforted by an inner glow that could never truly fade. Rumours came and went over the years. Whispers of a night when someone heard singing at the far edge of the pier. Tales of glimpses of a pale tail flipping in the shallows. Yet the village itself seemed content not to investigate further, They understood that certain blessings are best experienced through trust and open hearts, not pinned down by logic or proof. And so, night by night, the moon rose, the tides flowed, and a gentle peace cradled the shoreline in its silver arms. Now, dear traveller, the hour grows late. The moon has climbed high, and a soft, dreamy hush settles in the air. It is time for rest, time for you to allow your mind to drift upon tranquil seas. Picture the village as it sinks into slumber. Imagine the waves lapping the shore, a comforting lullaby that continues long after evening's last light fades. Let your own breath match that gentle rhythm, each inhale drawing in calm, each exhale releasing any tension that remains. See the moonbeams shimmer across the water. Visualize them cradling you in a cocoon of soft silver light. Like Marinelle, feel the soothing warmth of that inner glow. Nothing is required of you in this moment. No thought, no action, only a quiet surrender to the peaceful current of relaxation. The story has softly carried you here, to this serene space where the hush of the sea holds you with the same gentle embrace that once comforted an entire village. Now, let the lullaby fade to a low hum in the background of your thoughts, fading gently, sweetly. Your eyelids grow heavy, and your body settles deeper into soft stillness. If any stray thoughts drift by, let them pass without grasping, like small ripples that dissolve into the wider ocean of calm. Allow yourself to float, weightless and secure, under the watchful moon and infinite stars. In the distance, you can almost hear the mermaid's voice, a whisper in the waves, telling you that all is well. Let that assurance enfold you as you slip into rest. With each breath, sink further into the depths of comfort. Soon, you will find yourself carried away by sleep's gentle tide, rocking softly in the arms of twilight. Let go now. Let the darkness of night wrap you in its tender hush. Let your breathing become the final lullaby, guiding you deeper, deeper still, into peaceful slumber. There is nothing else you need to do. The sea calls, the moon smiles, and the lullaby remains. Good night, dear traveller. Sleep well, and may the soft moonlight on the sea carry you into the sweetest of dreams.